Hey, what's up? This is Blake from the Tone Mob Podcast, and I'm with you today for a video version of the normal audio podcast. I recorded this with Daniele Gottardo and Gretchen Menn at Gearfest. We were hanging out with the Breedlove folks, and we thought, we're all electric players primarily, but let's talk about acoustic guitars. They provide a nice acoustic performance about, almost all the way at the end of this episode. It was a really, really special episode. It's not the normal kind of one-on-one conversation, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I think you are too. But I wanted to take a minute or two right up top just to let you know, if you like this, you will probably also like the audio podcast. There are 350 plus episodes over on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your audio podcast. You can check it out if you don't really need the video component for your conversation-based podcasts. I'm more of an audio guy myself, so that's how I consume most of the media. Anyway, if that's your thing, check it out wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to watch this video, let's get right into it. Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of the Tone Mob Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today I have...
Daniele Gottardo.
Yeah, I would have totally massacred that, so...
And I'm Gretchen Menn.
I'm so excited about this. So, we're doing things a lot differently. First of all, we have a very attractive camera operator here today. And so, this is going to look better than just about anything else that I would do. And also, we're here at Sweetwater for Gearfest. And we're just here making tent. We're just here making content all day, every day. And, I'm primarily an electric guitar player. And we thought this would be a fun opportunity since we were scheduled at the Breedlove booth to, figure out what type of acoustic guitars or what type of songs or where might this slot into a primarily electric guitar player's repertoire, since Breedlove primarily make acoustic guitars. So here we are today, and we're going to talk about that and play some music. There's actually going to be music on this podcast, and not just me just blah, blah, blah. And, yeah. So here we are. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Oh my gosh, thanks so much for having us.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited to talk to you.
Man.
Yeah. So let's, you, like me, are primarily an electric guitarist.
Yeah, completely.
You do everything, it seems like. So what's your thoughts on this?
I don't feel like I do everything, but I feel like that I've done a little bit of enough things that people are under the misconception that I do more than I do.
All right.
And I've continuously, RA can tell you at Breedlove that a lot of times people will offer me a cool acoustic gig and I'll try to talk them out of it.
Okay.
And then if they're persistent, I just suck it up and try to do it.
Okay.
And I've learned a lot doing that. And I have a lot of thoughts about why at least dabbling in acoustic is good, even if you consider yourself primarily an electric player.
Okay. All right. What about yourself? I know we've forced you into this, so...
By myself, I play 100% electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't like acoustic. I like it, actually. But for some reason, I decided to focus about how to learn electric guitar well and dedicating all my time there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I'm like you. For some reason, it was just always a lot more exciting to me. I don't know. Just you crank it up, you get full distorted blah. And it's like, yeah, that's what spoke to my soul for whatever reason, and I've somehow shoved myself into this weird career because of that feeling more than anything. But I was raised with acoustic music primarily, and so I always have like a deep love for acoustic guitar. And in fact, I've heard like little things on people's Instagrams or just little clips here and there of songs they're working on, and then when they finally get the fully produced version, like, oh, I liked it with just the acoustic better, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's not always that way, but it's happened a few times recently. I was like, oh, I kind of liked the bare bones version better than the fully produced version, which goes against like my inner being. But but you guys have like, actually, I want to go back to it. You try to talk people out of.
Oh, just because I don't really feel like I'm a legitimate. So I started on classical guitar, and I had a really wonderful teacher for the years I studied with him, which was only about 3. And so I don't feel. People spend 6 hours a day for decades becoming legitimate classical players. I don't feel like I can claim to be a legitimate classical player. I had some good classical training from a wonderful teacher early on, and I have not focused on it to the level that I consider myself a classical player by any stretch. But I have enjoyed learning it, and it's helped me in other respects. And then in terms of like steel string stuff, it was really just a question of that I got a gig offer where I was offered to open for Adrian Belew, but the caveat was it either had to be on solo or duo acoustic.
Okay.
And a good buddy of mine, Jude Gold, he also does the No Guitar is Safe podcast.
Yeah.
He's a great friend, an amazing acoustic and an electric player. And I called him up and I was like, hey, I got this gig. Do you want to, like, can I hide behind you? Can we do some stuff that like could be adapted for acoustics, but do it as a duo? So we had 2 weeks to pull it together. So we did. It went really well. And then we got 2 shows opening for Steve Morse Band with the same. I know, he's like my hero.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my God, I'm playing the most exposed way I can play guitar.
That's why I don't like it.
That's
Right.
well, but here was the cool thing, is one, there's so much honesty in it. Like it's really you and the guitar, and there's something lovely about, even if I love my gear, about not having anything between you and the instrument. Really, it's like, here are your fingers and your ears and out comes the sound, right? So there's a lot that you can work on in terms of your own listening and your own ability to shape tone just through your fingers. Also, bands like Adrian Belew, Steve Morse Band, were really excited to have a band that was very guitar oriented, but didn't just blast out everybody's ears before the show.
Before they got to.
Yeah. Well, and I think acoustic guitar, it's very appealing. Like, nobody who likes shred metal doesn't think Tommy Emmanuel is a total badass, right?
Totally.
Right? So it's like, and yet your grandma might like it too, right? So it appeals to a wide variety of people, which is also really nice. And also what I like about it is a lot of the stuff that you play is really rewarding when you're just by yourself. So much of our time as guitar players, well, at least for me, is like the vast majority of it is not playing with my bands. It's
all of it
practicing,
for me. All of it, yeah.
And there's something really nice about being able to sit down and play a piece of music, and it sounds like a piece of music, as opposed to a guitar part that is sure going to sound great when drums and bass are there too.
Sure. Yeah, it's what I actually learned on initially, and maybe part of my draw to the electric was me trying to reject my parents telling me you need to get an acoustic first, and
Sure.
I actually made a video that got no traction at all. But I was helping my cousin figure out they were trying to figure out a guitar for their kid, and their kid didn't. They were like, should I get an electric or an acoustic? That's always everyone's first question when they're starting out. Which one do you get? And I told them, like, it doesn't matter. What do they like to listen to?
Yeah.
Because I really liked electric music and lots of heavy rock, and my parents pushed me to an acoustic just because that's what they were always told. Oh, you learn on that first.
Right.
I think there's benefits to that, but at the same time, it makes practicing harder because if you're not really into what you're playing, if it doesn't speak to you on the same level as what drew you to the guitar in the first place, then it makes practicing that much more of a chore. And when you're a beginner, it's already a chore. It hurts. You don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so on top of it, this sounds nothing like death metal. So like, what am I going to do?
Right.
But at the same time, the roots of the electric guitar are based in acoustic guitar. Like we wouldn't have electric guitar. It doesn't exist without the acoustic guitar. And there's something really special about that connection. And I didn't learn to appreciate that until later. So I think some of that is like my youth still trying to push back a little bit. Like, no. Even though I love acoustic music, I listen to it all the time. So it's kind of weird.
Well, but I think that's like the beauty of music. And I agree with you entirely. I think that you should start on, and you should focus your time on whatever speaks to you. We have enough internal obstacles, with picking up our guitars.
Therapy time. Here we go.
Right. Well, true. I mean, truly, it's like practicing or the path of music brings up like all sorts of stuff that we have to deal with, not the least of which that like you can't you can't look in any direction and not see an amazing guitar player doing something that like you can't do yet.
Totally.
So we're already struggling with this constant self-loathing that I think is almost ubiquitous amongst guitar players. so you might as well be playing the music you love. I mean, already we know music is a terrible financial decision. So like, there's no reason to do it unless you love doing it. So that's where you should focus your time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
But, having said that, I have noticed that there's a lot of just enriching opportunities that come about if you're willing to at least try other things that you might not have thought to try,
Definitely.
And a lot of our favorite, godfathers of metal type music, Randy Rhoads, he used to take classical guitar lessons, if I'm not mistaken. And in fact, the second thing that I ever learned on guitar, this is a Leo Brouwer study. I won't play the whole thing, but
go for it.
So it's like, see, I have to sit in the proper classical technique. This is something that Randy Rhoads, I believe, adapted for Diary of a Madman. Isn't this?
I believe so.
Yeah. And it's the second thing I ever learned on guitar.
That's wild.
But the harmonies are so beautiful, right? And this guitar is actually, this is really cool. Let's
talk about this.
Yeah, this is a Breedlove. It's my first time playing it. It's got this more shallow body, so it's incredibly comfortable.
Feel free to chime in with any details that we
Yeah, all right.
So, yeah.
If there's anything I'm missing, it's got a slightly, the nut width is not as wide as a typical classical, but it's not as narrow as like a steel string. And so for people who are used to playing like electric guitar or steel string acoustic, this is a really easy transition. It's what I've recommended to a lot of my students because you want the slightly wider string spacing to be able to do kind of the classical right hand technique, where unlike certain types of, I can only speak to what I know how to do, not what but like certain types of picking, of finger picking that's more this motion, classical guitar, you move more from this first joint. And so that's a big joint, and the amount of motion that you want to be able to have is enough that you want that wider string spacing.
Right. Not to mention if you have weird sausage fingers like me, it would be helpful to have that going on if you were to even attempt that. So yeah.
It's incredible what we can get around. So many people are like, is it hard to play with smaller hands? And I'm like, give me bigger hands for a week and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I have no idea. I got short fingers, but I like big necks. It makes absolutely no sense. Like, I don't know, whatever. I like what I like.
Well, there's a will, there's a way, right?
That's right.
So I love just having things to be able to pick up a guitar and play something where I know the harmonies are so beautiful, or this is a piece that I've actually even adapted and play electrically with my trio, even though I'm using a classical technique, because it's a beautiful, the changes are so beautiful that the bass player can really have fun, kind of coming up with interesting melodies, or sometimes we'll play it and you'll take beautiful solo over the changes. Do you want to? I'm putting you too much on the spot there. I know they're kind of strange harmonies.
There is a lot of chords actually there.
Okay.
There is not 3, there is 15.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot. Maybe it can be risky to jam over this piece.
But then you also have pieces like Pink Floyd's, Is There Anybody Out There? There's that classical guitar part that, by the way, was not played by David Gilmour. Everybody likes to chime in. I believe is Joe DeBlasi, who was miscredited as Ron DeBlasi. He's a studio player. But
I learned something today.
But I believe, and that was because, at least according to the article I read, that David Gilmour didn't feel like he quite had the classical guitar training to do it. But then live he ended up doing it, but he played with a leather pick instead of using, his fingers. So
wow.
Yeah, so the... So that's something that's almost you could learn it almost as a first classical piece. It's very straightforward. It's very graceful to play. Actually, I collaborated with Breedlove to do a whole lesson on it. So I think that's got transcription, tablature, and all of that. And that's just free. It's up on YouTube somewhere.
We'll find that on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, on the Breedlove channel. But to me, it's like it's great for your right hand as well. So even if you're liking to do the shred tapping stuff, it's like it gets your right hand finger independence up too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things that even though it might take some work, and I'm kind of speaking as a more like intermediate level player, like it might take some work, you might not be as interested, but if you are dedicated enough time to the guitar that you would be in that kind of, you're now not learning what a G chord is, like me. You can now take it to the next level, and it can, even if you don't want to, I think playing an acoustic can help you in the electric world. Like you can get some skills and get some inspiration from playing it that you would never come up with if you're just playing high gain distortion the whole time.
Well, exactly. It's like, why not have a spectrum? You know, we have more words in our vocabulary than we use on a day-to-day basis, but sometimes when you're looking for that word to say whatever it is you want to say, it's good to have other things than what you would
It's
use.
good.
Yes.
It's gooder and it's goodest.
Exactly. So it's like, why not have a spectrum? But I mean, it's not for everybody. I'm just saying, like, I love being able to, you know, I don't know, maybe come home from a week of like rock shows and then be like, how about some Bach? You know, like just to, like, I'm still playing guitar, but now it's like a shift. It's a different part of your musical inspiration.
I don't think I've ever appreciated the acoustic guitar more than this year at NAMM, because our booth was actually in the acoustic guitar section.
Oh yeah?
And it was like, oh, this is nice over here. I can talk at this volume and people can hear me. This is a nice change. That was a beautiful experience.
It is. It is. Well, it's not that much of a I would say, like, if there are people who are intimidated by it really, you needn't be. A lot of the skills that you adopt to be able to play like fingerstyle are things that can be also helpful in electric guitar. A lot of electric guitar players don't really use hybrid picking to the extent that they could, that would make, say, like an incredibly difficult passage to pick super easy.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
And all you're doing then is just, you know, that's obviously holding your pick and using these two fingers. Well, so it's like you're almost there anyway.
It's almost cheating once you get good at it, right?
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, cheating at music.
Cheating.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Obviously, it's an Olympic event, and
we all must compare ourselves to each other at
right,
all times.
it's competition.
It's
Obviously,
totally a competition. Yeah, that's not good for me. Yeah, so we were talking about maybe bringing out some of the other Breedloves.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of those.
Okay. Let's see. Well, Daniele's got one here too that he kind of fell in love with as an electric player.
I mean, I can see why. That sounded real nice. Oh, one more chord?
One more chord.
Yeah. Hey, that's a James Bond chord, I think.
Who knows? Maybe this.
No, that's the James Bond chord.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, that's
possible.
the one. Yeah. All right. You guys want to play the song, or you
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Let's do it. I want to collect my thoughts and listen to you guys for a minute.
Oh wait, let me see. Was this? Okay, yeah, I can play. Let me see. I have to go to the other tuning. That was the one thing I was gonna say. Is that, like, so a lot of the stuff.
Let's stick this with this one. You grabbed this for some reason. Let's talk about this.
I think
one
I
a
was.
little bit.
So another thing for electric players. So, my fun day job is I play in a Led Zeppelin tribute band.
I am aware. Yes, yes.
And that means that, and I always say that it's really easy to stay interested in Led Zeppelin because it is such a huge array of music and a lot of different things you get to do. I was always very resistant to playing in open tunings because I feel like, gosh, I devoted so much time and continual energy to really knowing the fretboard and seeing, you know, to knowing where the notes are and how things relate, and then
just to be
like, never mind, you know. But when you're learning somebody else's music, it's like, I mean, this. You can't play that in standard tuning.
No, you can't.
That's down to C. And actually, I have to say, I asked RA, I was like, oh my God, this holds up so well to such a low tuning. I was trying to get it to buzz. Okay, there. It's like if I'm playing harder than I would ever play, I kind of got it too. So I'm kind of in love with this guitar, but this is my first day playing it.
Which one is this? This is a Breedlove what? Performer Pro Concert Thin Line.
again. I mean, you don't get that sound without the tuning. You know, and it's just that's another one that's super fun to play. And I also did a lesson on that too.
Look at that. How convenient.
Well, it was a part of like why I've gotten like more and more into acoustic recently is because of my relationship with Breedlove and some of the stuff we've been able to do. I think the idea was never to do like sales pitches, but more just like, is there something that we might be able to bring to the world that could be helpful to people? And so we did this whole series on like an introduction to fingerpicking. So like the first video is just me like going through really basic exercises, and then going through, this was the second piece that I played in it, and just kind of like a step-by-step going through just to get people playing them if they want to. Some, you know, and some of them are just like so much fun to play. It's like, it's so easy, right?
That sounds so good.
Right? It's like, it's so rewarding for all the time we spend working on incredibly complex, you know, electric stuff or shred stuff. Not to say that there's all sorts of complexity you can do here too. But the point is you don't have to be like a virtuoso on acoustic guitar for it to sound really, at least to my ears, like really nice. Sorry, I'm hitting the microphone. That was...
You're okay.
Yeah, you don't have to be a virtuoso on acoustic to play something that's still really musically fulfilling.
Yeah, it just has, the acoustic guitar has a natural, like, I don't know what the word would be. Like, I think you said it before, like the connection is just there. Yeah. But like when you find a guitar that you really, really love, and this can be true of electrics too, but like when I check an acoustic, the first thing I do is play like an E minor. Just,
yeah,
you know,
I was going to say it's not going to sound like an E minor in this tuning.
Yeah, but it's perfect. Nope,
yeah, that's exactly it.
Yep, that's the one. Nailed it. Yeah.
E minor.
Ooh. It's not the E minor I meant, but I'll take it. And just see what I think, you know, and just like, oh, is that the one? And I've noticed the ones that like really grab me, and they always seem to be just, they don't necessarily have to be bigger bodied, but they have that low end that kind of sounds like that tuning a little bit. Yeah. And that's really important to me. I always just seem to resonate more with the low end. That's a dumb thing to say, but you know.
That was a clever thing to say too. Yeah.
I guess.
Depends on if it was intentional.
You give a monkey a typewriter, eventually, you know, something comes out.
Well, what you might like then too, because I'm sort of the same way. I don't like the super pingy sounds as much.
There's a place for them, but if I'm playing by myself, that's not what I want.
I have the same taste.
Yeah.
So one thing that might be good news to you if you ever decide to tackle this is I don't use nails. So so a lot of times people think they have to grow out their nails. You don't. I don't.
All right.
Some people will tell you that they couldn't live without it, but the point is you don't have to, and then you don't have to worry about nail maintenance or anything like that. And
as you can tell, I don't.
Yeah,
so,
neither do I.
Yeah.
I just keep them short.
Exactly. Exactly. In fact, pre-COVID, I kept them short by biting them.
Did COVID cure your nail biting?
It did. I stopped biting my nails. That was the one good thing to come out of it, I guess.
Hey, yeah. That's not bad.
Yeah, I finally stop it.
Yep.
Stop putting your... Ew, you're over 30. Stop putting your hands in your mouth. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, but I've actually started finger picking a little bit more in general, and it is for the reason you were talking about. Is like, though there's things I felt stupid when somebody like, here's a guitar. I'm like, if I don't have that thin piece of plastic, this is useless to me. I can't do anything with it. I should learn how to do things with the guitar. Like you can clearly play them without a pick.
Right.
So I felt kind of dumb, and so I kind of forced myself to start finger picking more. And that has actually, it started on acoustic and translated over to electric a little more, so where I'm doing way more finger picking on an electric, but it's because of me starting to try to learn on an acoustic. So.
Yeah, and it's applicable. Well, and then you see people like, you know, Jeff Beck or Richie Kotzen, or, you know, a lot of people, I think Derek Trucks doesn't use a pick too. I mean, a lot of people get incredible electric tone with just their fingers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the person that inspired me the most, he inspired me in a lot of ways, was actually, he's now with Reverb, but Andy Martin, when he was doing the Pro Guitar Shop demos, he never played with a pick. And he doesn't do like a lot of stereotypical finger picking things, but when I would watch, it sounds like he does though. And if you look at him and you don't know he's not playing with a pick, like it looks like he is.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I want to do that. And he just like never played. He can obviously play with a pick, but he just doesn't. And it's something that's kind of unique to him. And I believe, if I remember my interview a few years ago with him correctly, that started on the acoustic guitar. So it's a good place to develop skills. And I think that's something that's as much of a reason, even if you just don't like the acoustic guitar at all. I only like metal. Well, you should probably pick one up anyway, and it'll make you a better player in your chosen field, I think.
Well, it's easy to think you don't like something, but unless you've really given it a try, you don't really know. Like there's plenty of things musically, like songs that I've learned that I'm like, I'm not really into that song. And then you find your way in, and that expands you creatively and expressively. So, I mean, I just don't see why not unless you really don't have access to an acoustic. Although, Daniele, as somebody who really has committed to playing electric guitar, I did notice that you spent a lot of time with that. And I feel like some of the techniques you use translate really well too.
Yeah, but with this guitar, it really reminds me, my electric guitar actually, my setting for my electric guitar is more similar to an acoustic actually.
Okay.
I don't use a light strings or low action to shred. It's more like this. I think my strings are even thicker. I use 11th. And then like also that you can reach this high part, and then really reminds me a lot of my electric guitar. And then it is an example where an acoustic guitar can facilitate an electric player to use it. Does it make sense in English? I'm sorry, my English is bad.
No.
But I can play an E minor for you with a very good low end.
That sounds.
Okay?
Oh yeah. I like it.
Anyway, I really like this guitar because I found a bridge between the two words. Sometimes you play acoustic guitars where the action is like that, and then becomes a bit more difficult.
I wonder how many people end up getting a bad opinion about acoustics because they just picked up one that somebody had in their corner.
I was about to say
it's possible. It's easy, a lot, right?
Yeah. Especially back in the day. I feel like there's more access on the lower end of the spectrum to higher quality instruments on both electric and acoustic now than there ever has been. It's so great what is available for players starting out now. Like, I'm kind of jealous. Like, it's just such a completely different ball game on the lower end of the scale, price-wise. Now, don't get me wrong, it's all expensive, but like, relatively speaking.
But not that much. I mean, I don't, like, I know the lesson that I did on that Pink Floyd song, I think between the Breedlove guitar and the Tonewood amp, like both of them were like, it still came in at under $1,000.
Oh, wow.
And that's for like,
really good stuff.
Yeah. And guitars that sound great, that play great, so that's one of the things that I like is, sometimes if you're a working musician, you end up getting gear that would be outside of your own price range, and yet when you're teaching and trying to encourage other people, like you want to have a familiarity with instruments that are at a wide range of price ranges that you can also genuinely recommend and say, I've played this, I have one, I like it, it's really good. And that's what's one of the things I really love about Breedlove is they do have really great entry models as well as high-end stuff too.
Yeah, that's one thing about them as a company that they have a reputation for that. Like if it has their name on it, then it's going to be a good instrument. No matter what. No matter where it's made or whatever, they just put a lot of attention to detail in it, and it shows. And I'm not saying that just because he's standing there behind the camera. I've actually, like, that is the reputation they have in the industry at large. I think before I ever had any contact with anybody at Breedlove, that was how I viewed them as a company.
Well, I feel like we're also connected to both companies and musicians that I don't know if there's much room to be like full of crap anymore. Like, I think that it's like, for every person who's like a really great guitar player with a terrible attitude, you can find a really great guitar player with a great attitude.
Yes.
So, and same thing with companies. It's like, okay, well, they might make great instruments, but if their entry-level instruments are terrible, then they're not going to have the integrity or the reputation that they would have as a company, as if, they had a good level of quality control across like all of their levels.
I think it's something it's made, it still exists, don't get me wrong, but I think one good thing about the internet and social media is that it's made being a jerk as a company or as a player or whatever, it's made participation in the industry a lot more difficult if you are, because word gets around, or you just see how people interact and they're like, this is the side of yourself that you're going to display.
Wow.
There's, I won't name names, but there's a pedal company that like essentially had to rebrand everything because the owner got known as just a terrible person throughout, the Guitar Gear world.
Offline, I want to find out if it's the same one that I imagine you might be talking about.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Well, that's the thing is there's so few. I should say there's so many great people, and
why bother?
Right.
Like even if they make something really, really good, there's always somebody who makes something really, really good who's also cool.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah, exactly. If you have the choice, go with the full package.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes, with musicians. That was one of the things I talked to Brian Nutter, who has a company called Nutter Guitars, and he used to be a very prolific like side person in the Nashville scene. He was playing with everybody at some point, on tour. And I asked him that question, and that was one of the things he said was, you got to be cool. Because I was like, what would you say to somebody starting off in this career? It's like, you have to be cool. You have to be able to get along on a tour bus or in a tour van. If you can't, they'll find somebody else who will, because it's not that hard. There's lots of good guitar players.
Exactly. I mean, and it is absolutely true. I know that like anytime I've had, turnover within any of the bands I've been in, I feel like every time we're like auditioning somebody else for the role, it's like, I'm not just auditioning like, a bass player. It's like, are you my new best friend also?
Right.
Are you the person I'm going to spend way more time with than anybody else other than maybe...
We just become best friends?
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to do karate in the garage?
That's right. That's what you're looking for. That's half of it. It really
it's like
is.
the music has to be there. That's
it's
a
just
given.
a given. It's kind of like the product has to be good.
Yeah.
The music has to be good. You have to be good at your craft. That's just, we don't even need to say that, really.
Right.
Like, if you can't play the part, and
you're not even in the conversation.
Just leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're a terrible person on top of it, and then you're also not going to get the gig. So just be cool, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's see. We've been going for about 30 minutes, and I feel like, you guys had a little piece you guys wanted to play.
Sure. Do you feel like doing some playing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were playing some gorgeous stuff. Did you want to play any of that kind of jazz stuff you were doing?
If I didn't have a 3 hours of jet lag, yes, I was going to play. But because I am...
you can just do anything.
I have a lack of sleep, man.
Yeah.
Very, very palpable.
You can just
Can I say palpable?
Palpable.
Is English?
That is English.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm lucky.
Yeah, I'm going to get the guitar from behind your
Let's play
head.
something with Gretchen.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's see. I might have to recheck the
I've
tuning.
really enjoyed this.
Oh, wait. This is the one that did not have the built-in tuner. Let's see if it's still like... that's close, but not quite. Really?
Oh. And here? Yeah,
Might be all right. Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. And see, he never plays acoustic, but
That
it's
really, woo, that felt nice. I like that. That was a special thing for me to get to sit here and still. That was awesome. Thank you guys.
To Breedlove, guys. That makes our life easier. Otherwise, my life wasn't easy at all.
I'm so
with the
sorry.
acoustic guitar.
You did it, though. You did it.
We did it.
I thought you sounded great. You were, I mean, that was
great.
the whole. We talked earlier today. We were like, what are we going to talk about? Like,
Yeah, we had no
three
problems.
of us.
Yeah, we got
plus
it.
acoustic guitars.
Yeah, I'm like, what's that? What's an acoustic guitar? But here we are. We did it. That was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you so much.
It
Thank you
was
to
so
you.
nice to get to chat with you and geek
Yeah.
out with you.
Absolutely. We'll do like another more traditional Tone Mob episode one of these days.
I'd love that.
And we'll see if you can beat Yvette's record for podcast length. We'll see how that goes.
Oh wait, yeah. What was her record?
So we did. She didn't actually quite make the longest. She was close. We did right a little over 3 hours.
3 hours?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we did like an hour for the main, then we did 2 hours for Patreon, and then I ended up releasing the Patreons publicly because the patrons were like, "You have to release this publicly. This is too good." So
Oh, that's amazing.
I put it out publicly. She was talking about touching her sleep paralysis demons and like all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
It was like it was a
Yvette's
trip.
amazing.
Oh,
she's such
so
a
good.
she's such a dear friend and such a just magical creative
Do you
spirit.
think you can beat her? Do you think you can go longer than 3 hours?
I'm not going to compete with anybody, especially not somebody I love, but I can talk.
Oh, all right. We'll just see what happens.
If the topic's right. If the topic's right.
I'll make topics right.
I think
we'll invent
if
some.
we're going to geek out on music, then yes.
Geek
If
out
the
on-
topic is grilled cheese sandwich and Long Island iced tea, I can talk for a lot of time.
Me
man.
too. Me too.
Let's
I
do
love a
that.
grilled cheese sandwich. But I know this isn't a traditional one, but since I do have you guys here, I would be remiss if I didn't close it out with the classic questions, just because.
Let's do the
it.
classic
All right,
question.
so this is a little bit
Okay.
unrelated to the topic,
That's
but
fine.
but I feel like we got to do it. So first one, favorite Boss pedal.
Favorite Boss pedal. You know what? To be honest, you've got to go.
Tremolo.
Which one?
The tremolo.
Oh, the TR2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The tremolo. I really like that one.
Yeah, that is a classic. That
Yeah.
one's a little bit underrated. I really like that pedal too. The TR2 is great.
I don't have enough to really say, but I think is the synth wah, is that a Boss one? It's an older one.
Well, the one that popped in my head is not what I think you're talking about. The one
It's
that
like
popped in my-
green?
Yeah, now I was thinking of the synth, but that just came out like 4 years ago. So
Either that, I did have this super overdrive, right?
the SD1.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, that's a classic.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone loves the SD1.
Yeah.
It's slightly modified tube screamer, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
Isn't everything though?
Not everything.
Not everything, but I mean,
well, lots of things.
let's just say it's like, amps are sort of, I feel like from like the Fender or Marshall like trees, even if they've really changed them up a lot, so many of them have
All
their-
the roots are kind of, and then if you're talking Marshall, then we're talking about the Bassman, and that's technically a Fender design.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, so it all comes back.
It's all
Yeah,
Leo
yeah,
at the end
yeah,
of the day. But
yeah.
that is not related to acoustic guitars. But anyway, that's that.
okay.
Okay, final question.
Yes.
Are you sure?
You could ask him anything now.
Do you wanna jump-
Go ahead and just.
I know it was a very private question. I knew that, and I really.
You said
Awesome.
yes?
No, that's I'm kidding.
No, 'cause
Go ahead.
If his answer is yes, then we're just going to have to go to Vegas.
See,
Let's go. Let's say your question.
All right. All right. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
you've got an Italian here. My gosh.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was very curious.
For me, it's a pizza that good chef, Italian chef love, but Italians doesn't love that much. It's a white pizza without tomato sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's cheese, mozzarella, and with potatoes cooked in the oven. Oven? How I pronounce it?
Yeah, you got it.
With rosemary, cooked very well. So, and simple like that, rosemary, olive oil, can be a little bit heavy. But if it is done well, it's really delicious. Otherwise, I go with a traditional, in Italian it's called a margherita. That is, how you call it here? You
Yeah,
call
it's
more,
that.
That's what,
because we know that in some place you say margherita to what? It's called like cheese pizza.
No, not with the
basic
basil.
one, the basic one.
Margarita,
Yeah.
I think people got confused on it initially, but as pizza culture has expanded in the States a
Okay.
little bit, people
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
that is. So
Yeah.
yes, just
Good.
just the basil, the sauce,
Yeah,
very, very simple.
Simple.
Yeah.
Love it. I got to get to Italy. I have to.
What's your favorite pizza?
Well, that's really tough. I had an Italian style wood-fired place show up in my hometown about 15, 16 years ago. That really changed my perception on pizza. It was like, oh, because I got there and I'm like, well, man, it's kind of expensive for a 12-inch pie. Like, and I sat down and ate it. It was like, oh no, I will spend thousands of dollars here. I do not care, and I have spent probably thousands of dollars there. It's called Mi Familia. Love that place. So that really changed my perception on what pizza can be. So that's one of my favorites. But I also love Grimaldi's in New York City. Loved their pie. That holds a special place in my heart.
We want to know the ingredients that you want to use.
So it's tough because I think to judge any place, you got to start with their cheese slice. You just get their cheese slice.
Totally.
Just see how that is, and then you can kind of branch out from there. It's hard to argue with like a nice New York style with the little cups of pepperoni that kind of curl up. You know,
pepperoni.
That's always really nice. But a good cheese slice sometimes just hits the spot in a way that nothing else can. You know, you don't need much more than that. I like a lot of toppings. I like to get fancy. I like, a little spicy sausage with some hot honey on there once in a while. But, it's just whatever I'm in the mood for. Also like a clam pie. I don't know if you've ever had a clam pie or not. It's kind of a New Haven thing.
Oh, is it? Is that where you're from?
No, I'm from Portland, Oregon. But
okay, I know you're living there. I wasn't sure.
I am a pizza guy, so.
So you've gone on tours to find the best pizzas.
Yeah, I haven't been to New Haven yet, but it's on the list. But we have some ex-New Haven people who've opened pizzerias in Portland, and they've brought the clam pie over there. Which, if you're in the mood for pizza, isn't really the thing to go for. It kind of is like if you really want the heartiest clam chowder in the world, that's the thing to go for. Because it's like a white sauce. It's very seafoody. It's its own thing. But it started in New Haven, Connecticut. So,
okay, interesting.
What about you? What's your favorite kind of pizza?
Okay, well, so I'm a vegan. So
that's all right.
So that means that I've got all sorts. I will say whatever pizza he makes is always the best pizza.
No, I'm not a pizza guy.
You do really well.
We like to do at home. We found this crust that is very thin, and the pizza is light, and then we like to garnish, how you say?
Yeah.
And we experiment different things. You like the marinara?
I do like that.
Something simple, also with walnuts, oregano, mushrooms. In this case,
I love mushrooms.
Me too. Well,
mushrooms, garlic also. Little bit can be very good, not too much.
we had also the thing you described of like the spicy sausage with like the honey. We had pizza with some of our friends, one of whom's also vegan, and it was like the vegan version of that. It was spicy sausage with like some like agave or whatever. Which I'm like, I don't know about sweet on pizza. It was so good.
Yeah,
it was so incredibly good.
Oh yeah, spicy agave would be good.
Oh,
Nutella
really...
pizza is also good. Nutella pizza. I don't know here. You don't.
Are you joking?
What?
Yeah, in Italy, Nutella. You know Nutella.
Nutella?
Like the spread?
Yeah, pizza Nutella. Great.
Wait, are you kidding?
No.
Wait.
It's more like a dessert. It works well.
Wait, so what's
from the mouth of an Italian?
How did I not know this? Wait, what's on it then? So it's
just
regular
the crust
pizza
and Nutella on the top, nothing else.
so no cheese, no.
No, only
Okay.
Nutella.
Is that pizza or is that just like
That's
just some
Nutella.
sort of random dessert?
It's a kind of a dessert. You have it like a dessert, but it's the pizza crust without salt, obviously, or a tiny bit.
Okay.
It works really well.
Wow.
Okay, I was a little bit nervous. There.
Me too. I was like, okay, it's clearly messing with you, but
I was like, no, you're just trying to blow my mind right now.
You want to know another funny story about pizza and names? Because in the United States, you have the pizza, the classic with the pepperoni that are. But it's funny because in Italy, pepperoni is red bell pepper.
red bell pepper. That's what it's called.
Pepperoni is red pepper.
Oh.
And what you call the pepperoni is salami. In Italy, that is salame. That in English is translated salami, always plural for some reason.
So salami here is like a different thing than pepperoni, so that's interesting.
Well, they're similar, but they're spiced differently. What it is like, at least I think, back before I was vegan, is there's pepperoni has like a very clear, more peppery, more pungent flavor, and then salami is like looks like a pepperoni, but
they're usually a little
spiced.
lighter colored.
Yeah.
The spicy one is a type of salami. It's called the salamino piccante. Spicy salamino.
I have to go to Italy.
You need to go to
I have to go to
Italy.
Italy so bad.
Oh, well, okay, now you know exactly who's to tell you where to go and all of that, because it's pretty awesome.
I'll be asking, for sure.
Yeah, man.
The food there, the pizza there, very inexpensive. Once you get yourself there, the plane ticket hurts a little bit, but once you're there, you can live very well on very little money.
I may never leave.
That's how I console myself anytime I'm like, oh my God, there's no way I'll ever be able to afford a house anywhere in the United States. We just look at like properties in Italy, and then it's like, oh, okay, we'll live there eventually.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for hanging out. This was a blast. I really,
you.
really enjoyed it.
Fun.
I can't
It was
wait
fun.
to talk to you guys again. And thanks to Sweetwater for hosting us. Thanks to
you, Sweetwater.
Breedlove for hanging out, and for the guitars, and for manning the cameras, and for all the everything. Breedlove's awesome. And they're like 3 hours away from me, so I think I need to come take a look at the factory. One of these days, we'll do that.
You should. They're the nicest people. You might end up ordering a custom guitar though.
I probably will.
But I wouldn't discourage you.
I need to.
I just got mine, and I'm playing a lot more acoustic now.
Despite all of what we just talked about, I don't have a good acoustic. I have a not good one.
Oh, okay. The
It's a
difference
classic, it's a
also,
classic, yeah.
like if we're doing like a little like, hey, don't be afraid of acoustic guitars thing, I have to say the difference between a good acoustic for you or a good acoustic in general and a not good acoustic, it's like it can be the difference of whether or not you think you like the instrument.
Oh, I know, because
As
my
a
dad
genre.
does have good ones.
Yeah.
And so I play those whenever I go to his house, and I'm like, I have to get a good acoustic.
Well,
And
and
then I
also-
go buy another electric because I'm a terrible person.
Well, but also another I think fallacy that's out there is like an acoustic guitar doesn't have to play like torture in order to sound good. You
Right.
can find good acoustics
Yeah,
that
exactly.
play well and sound good. This is the one. I mean, you were playing this like for like a while earlier today, and like you were saying how comfortable it is.
Yeah. But also because when you are like at NAMM or when everybody's playing around you, you don't really hear all your mistakes.
Sure.
And I'm sounding great, but it's not a reality. And then you are pleased with what you think. No, kidding apart. It was really, like I said, it immediately reminds me of the neck of my electric.
What kind of
And
electric?
as electric.
What kind of electric is it?
It's a custom Charvel.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, so we wrap this thing up. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having
for
us.
having
Wow,
us.
this was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we did this.
Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right, folks, there you have it. That is the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please check out Gretchen and Daniele wherever you find them on the internet. Their social links are down in the description. And again, don't forget you can get the audio version of this podcast wherever you get them. Spotify, Apple, etc. All of those places, it's there. And if it's not, let me know at info@tonemob.com or down in the comments, and I will make sure it gets there. Again, there are 350 plus episodes there for you to consume and enjoy at your leisure with some pretty heavy hitters. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will talk to you on the internet very soon. Bye-bye.